Hi, this video is for the first session of digital escape rooms for all content areas. This is primarily for people who are taking the course for credit because we'll be going over some of the features for the escape room that will need to be submitted for course credit. So if you are only taking for PDPs, you might want to watch this to learn how to create your own escape room, but it's not required. So from here, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you at the bottom of our um, Google Classroom platform. You're going to see that we have the syllabus, we have an example, and we have the answer key. So you're welcome to look at those at your leisure. So from this point, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the stuff that's in the first week of the syllabus, which is using Google Drawings to embed a secret message, and then using Google Slides to create secret links. So we're just going to start off in Google Drive. And right now I'm going to create a new Google Drawing. And this is going to be one of the clues for my escape room. And I'm just going to call this the directional lock because I'm going to be giving directions. So then from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to embed a secret message that can be sort of revealed through a viewfinder. What you would do is you would click on Insert and Word Art. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to type in some gibberish. When you get to the end of the line, you want to make sure that you hit Shift and Enter, or Shift and Return. What that'll do is it'll allow you to put your word art on a second line. So we're just going to repeat that. Again, it's Shift and Enter for multiple lines. And I'm just going to go ahead and do maybe like 6 lines total. Okay, so once we have our 6 lines, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Enter or Return. I'm going to get rid of the outline in black, so I'm just going to click on the pencil right here and click on Transparent. I'm also going to bold the text. It's just going to make it so that when it's all said and done, it'll be a bit more, a bit more discreet as far as hiding the message. I'm just going to put it to the top left corner, resize it so that it takes up maybe about halfway, we'll say about halfway across the Google Drawing canvas. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the hex value. So we're going to change the fill, in other words. So you click on the paint can and you're going to choose a custom fill. So you'll notice that you have this hex value right here. The first 2 characters stand for the value of red. The second 2 would stand for the value of blue. The third 2 are the value of green, and the last 2 are the value of transparency. Not that that's super important, but just so that you know a little bit about how hex values work. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to change the hex value. You want to keep the little hashtag at the beginning. It's going to be 00FFF27A. And notice how it changes both the hue and the transparency. We're just going to go ahead and click OK. All right, so then what we're going to do next is we're going to insert more word art. And again, we're going to do about 6 lines of gibberish. When you get to the end of the line, you're going to hit Shift and Enter. Okay, so now we have our 6 lines of gibberish and we're just going to hit Enter. So again, what you want to do is you want to make it bold. And in this case, what we need to do is we also need to change the color so that it's not the same as the first lines of gibberish. So we're just going to click on the fill color, again, add a custom color. This time for our hex value, we're going to enter F7 BB 527A. And then we're going to click on OK. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag this to go on top of the first set of text. So roughly the same size. So I'm just going to go ahead and maybe resize this a little bit. Okay. So now we have our text on top of other text, and it's semi-transparent. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a viewfinder. To do this, you're going to click on a shape. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a circle, for example. So I'm going to just draw my viewfinder down here. You'll notice that it automatically colors it in the previous hex value that we used, but we're going to change it. So you're going to click on the fill color and again, click on the plus sign to add a specific hex value. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to enter in E and then 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7, 6 for the transparency. And you're going to click on OK. Now, if you want to, because for mine, I'm going to use this as a directional lock clue. You can double click on this and then you can set it so that you actually use it as a compass. So if you double click on the shape, it'll allow you to add text to it. I'm just going to choose a line and choose center align. And then I'm just going to make it almost as if it were a compass. So that being said, we'll do, go ahead, northwest and then east. It's just going to take a moment to be able to do that. And then we'll do south. But at this point, this should be toward the center. So anyway, it's not perfect, but you get the idea as far as how it's going to work. There we go. We just make it a little bit neater. So this is going to not only act as a viewfinder, but it's going to give students an idea of how cardinal directions work by labeling north, south, east, and west. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually add our secret message. So once again, you're going to click on Insert and Word Art. And so then from that point, what we're going to do is we're going to create a secret message. So we're just going to start off. I'm just going to say start at Temple of Athena Nike. And you'll see what all of this means, fairly shortly. But anyway, what we're going to do is then we're going to hit Shift and Enter in order to get to the next line. Then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to add another line. And for example, what we're going to do is then go to the Parthenon. So we're going to give students a map and they're going to need to go to these different locations and then figure out what direction they would need to go in. So anyway, I'm just going to hit Shift and Enter again. And then from here, we're going to say, next, go to the Erechtheion. Shift and Enter again. Then go to the Theater of Dionysus. And finally, go to the Museum of Modern Greek Culture. So this particular escape room would obviously be something that is themed after ancient Greece, but you're welcome to do this with any sort of theme that you want. So if it were social studies, you could very easily do a directional lock. If it were something along the lines of ELA, you could perhaps have students going to different locations that are in a book. So I know that one thing that I've done with my fifth grade students at my school is they read A Long Walk to Water, which has characters that journey across the continent of Africa in search of clean water. So that could be an example of how you could incorporate it into ELA. As far as math, you could also have a map and then also incorporate different things like angles. So have students start at a particular location and then they might have to, rotate themselves in a 45-degree angle and then travel 90 miles, for example. So there are lots of ways that you could incorporate this for different subject areas. Anyway, so once you're done, you're just going to hit Shift and Enter. Or I'm sorry, just rather enter. And if you need to, again, we're going to get rid of the black border. So I'm just going to do the pencil tool and transparent. Again, I'm going to make the text bold. And then in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the fill again. So if you click on the fill color and once again, custom. And in this case, what we're going to do for the hex value is FEBABA79. And then click OK. So then from here, what we're going to do is I'm just going to make sure that I center this, sort of in the middle of my drawing. And you'll notice that I have the text itself centered. So you might choose to make the text centered. So I'm just going to make this so that it fits, so that it essentially blends in with our other text. So it's just going to take a moment to, kind of play around with it. So we'll maybe make this a little bit smaller. So maybe like right here, a little up. Okay. So you'll notice that, it's pretty difficult to be able to read on its own. And that's what the objective is. So then what you're going to do is I'm just going to show you how this would work for students. So if a student were using this, they would click on the viewfinder and they can use either the arrow keys or the mouse or touchpad. And you'll notice that it reveals the secret message. So if I move my pointer over it, you can read that it says start at Temple of Athena Nike. And then it continues to go through all of the different steps. So we're going to get back into how we're going to share this with students in a moment. So I'm just going to put this back right here. All right. So that being said, what you want to do next, now that you've created this clue, is you want to make sure that it is shared with anyone with the link. So you're just going to click on the share button and then click on advanced and then click on change. And you can choose to have anybody at your school domain. For the purposes of this course, I'm just going to choose anyone with the link. For your students, it would be fine if you just simply said that any students within your domain can find and access. That would be fine. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to click on save and click on done for now. And I'm just going to leave this tab open because we're going to be using it in a little bit. So then the next thing that we're going to do is you'll notice that, of course, right now there are different layers. And so students could essentially take that apart. Now, depending on the level of students that you teach, you might use one of two options to make it so that students can't take it apart. One option that you could do is you could click and drag to select all of your text and then do a right or two finger click on it and then choose group. Now, that's probably not going to work with older students that are more versed in how Google Drawings and the G Suite for Education works. So that being said, I'm just going to show another way that you might be able to go about this. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to temporarily move the viewfinder off of the page. And then from here, what you can do is you can click on File, and then you're going to click on Download. And you can just download it either as a JPEG or a PNG image. So then that's going to download it. And then from here, what you can do is you can add it as an upload. So from here, what you would do is you would click on the little insert image icon and then upload from computer. And so then from that point, you'll have the directional lock that you just downloaded. So from here, I have the PNG image that you notice it's the same thing, but it can't be taken apart. And so then from here, what you could do is you could just get rid of the original and then replace this, with the downloaded version. And so the downloaded version, students won't be able to take apart. It's not possible. So anyway, that being said, if you use your viewfinder, so I'm just going to click and drag my viewfinder, and it's a little, whoops, hold on. The only issue is that it is a little trickier to be able to use the viewfinder, as you can see right here. So what you might need to do is you might need to crop it. And also, if it's hard to read, I would suggest not doing this. But that being said, that is an option as well. But I would say that probably what I would recommend, I'm just going to go ahead and undo this just so you can see. So my recommendation would be to simply group the text, and then it should work a bit more clearly than if you download it as a PNG image. Unfortunately, when you download as PNG, it makes it a bit difficult to read. So that being said, what we're going to do right now is we're going to move into Google Slides. So I'm just going to go back over to Google Drive, and I'm just going to do a new Google slideshow. And for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to do a one slide slideshow. Obviously, you'll be able to add more slides depending on, again, the grade level, the age that you're dealing with. But for the purposes of demonstrating quickly here, I'm just going to do one slide. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to search for an image that's going to provide the basis of my escape room. And actually, before I do that, I'm just going to demonstrate really quickly by going to the example that I showed you. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating a slide that is going to essentially show what I'm highlighting here. So some sort of a room that's going to have secret links. So that being said, I'm just going to go into and search museum just very quickly. Perhaps maybe museum interior might be a bit more specific. And then I'm just going to click on images. And for now, I'm just going to click on kind of the first one that I find here. And then I'm going to two-finger right-click on it and choose copy image. Then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my presentation and I'm going to paste my image and make my image so that it takes up the entire slide. Now, it's going to be a bit skewed just because of the fact that I'm showing this really quickly. So anyway, that being said, what we're going to do next is we're going to add a invisible link to our directional lock clue. And we're also going to add a map so that people will know how to work this. So anyway, here is my presentation. I'm just going to call this digital breakout scene. Okay, so now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a shape, and it doesn't really matter what shape it is. You're going to decide where you might want to hide a secret link. So for example, I'm just going to do this in the painting in the bottom left corner. What you'll do next is you'll change the fill color to be transparent, and you'll change the line color to be transparent. Then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the insert link button. You'll head back to your directional lock clue. And again, you're going to click on share. And then you'll click on get shareable link, and it should copy the link to the drawing on your clipboard. We're just going to click back over to the breakout scene, and then we're going to paste. And then from here, what we're going to do is anything after the slash where it says edit, we're going to erase. And then we're going to type in the word copy. From here, we'll click on apply. So now what's going to happen is if students were viewing this, they would be able to click on the link. So I'm just going to hit present so that we can get an idea of how this works. So you're not going to see the link until you put your pointer over, and you'll notice that the pointer turns into the gloved hand. And so then when you click, what it does is it asks, would you like to make a copy of directional lock? And so the students would click on make a copy. And so then they would have their very own clue. And from here, they would be able to manipulate it as needed to pull up clues. So that being said, that would be their own copy. They wouldn't have to worry about editing anybody else's copy. So I'm just going to go ahead and escape out of full screen. And so then the last thing that we're going to cover is we're going to put a map link on this slide. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to Google Maps. So maps.google.com. And then I'm going to search Temple of Athena Nike. All right, so then from here, what it's going to do is it's going to show that particular location. I'm just going to click to highlight the URL at the top, and I'm going to hit Control-C to copy. I'm going to hit back to my digital breakout scene. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a transparent shape. For example, I'm just going to put it over the statue just to make things easier. And again, we're going to do a transparent fill, transparent line, and then the insert link button. And then we're going to paste the link and click on apply. So then we're pretty much almost done for this particular session. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on present just so that way we can view it. So then students would click on the link to the directional lock clue. They would make a copy. In addition to that, they would also be able to find the secret link by clicking on the statue. And then from here, it brings you to the Temple of Athena Nike. So then they would be able to go back to the copy of the directional lock. And you'll notice that it says to start at Temple of Athena Nike. And it's a little difficult to see here. And then it says to go to the Parthenon and then the Erechtheion. So if they look at the map, you'll notice that the Parthenon is east. And we can technically use the direction tool, and we'll just kind of switch it, and then we can choose a destination. Again, you might need to zoom in a bit. But that being said, so then the Parthenon would be right here to the east. Then the Erechtheion, I think we might just need to zoom in a little bit. It's also going to do street directions. So that being said, you have all of the directions here. So you would have to use cardinal directions. So for example, when it says to go from Temple Athena Nike to the Erechtheion, that would be east. If it says to go to the Erechtheion to the Theater of Dionysus, that would be going south. And so that being said, that's kind of how I came up with the idea for the directional lock. So I'm just going to show you the answer key really quickly. So it does say digital breakout answer key right here in Google Classroom. And so if you scroll down to the directional lock, I'm just going to close that out. But I did mention that we start at Temple of Athena Nike, go to the Parthenon, then the Erechtheion, then the Theater of Dionysus, and the Museum of Modern Greek Culture. So to go to all of those locations, first, they would have to go east from Temple of Athena Nike to the Parthenon. So E would be the first part of the directional lock, E for east. North to go from the Parthenon to the Erechtheion. So that would be north. Then go south to the Erechtheion to the Theater of Dionysus. So S for south. And then north again to the Museum of Modern Greek Culture. So from the theater to the museum would be north. And so the directional lock would be east, north, south, north. Now, that being said, as far as where the students are going to enter this information, I haven't quite covered that yet, but we will be covering that in a later session. But I'm just going to show you really briefly in the example escape room that I shared with you in Google Classroom. If you click on where it says Escape the Museum in the first post, and right here it says the directional lock, and you would type in east, south, north. I think, sorry, now I'm forgetting it. So east, north, south, north. Okay. So I'm just going to, so east, north, south, north. Notice how it says still locked until I get it correct. And that's one of the things we're going to be covering in a subsequent video. So it's going to make it so that students can't submit their locks until they have indeed unlocked it. So anyway, that being said, that's going to be everything that we're going to cover during our video for this week. And again, this is great for those of you who are taking the course for credit. And even if you're not taking the course for credit and you want to be able to learn how to do this sort of at your own pace, to be able to incorporate this into your own instruction, I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope that everything was clear and easy to understand. So we will be having a live hangout on Thursday, January 16th at 4:30 to discuss any of the content that was covered in this video. And I look forward to working with you, and have a wonderful day.